Well, a big day here in Nigeria, absolutely, and this will even go on for another day. But let's step back a bit amidst the festivities, the merrymaking, the visitations, and the rest. What is the reason for this season, particularly in the context of the season we're also in as a nation and perhaps globally? So this morning we have two gentlemen joining us in our studio to walk us through the essence of the season and hopefully what we can all take away beyond the food, the meat, the drinks, and the rest. What else must we take away from this season? We have a pleasure of having with us in our studio Imam Abdul Ghani Jimoh, is a branch missioner, Nasfat Alakuko Alagbado branch. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Good morning.
And next to him is Hafiz Abdul Ghani Shobambi. Is an Islamic scholar, a lecturer at Ahmadiyya School for Quranic Memorization, Ilaro, just right next to him. Good morning, Hafiz.
Morning to you.
Well, just behind the scenes, we were talking about how Hafiz is more than just a name, it's actually a title.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you want to tell us about that for those who are not aware?
Well, Hafiz literally means a protector in Arabic, and Hafiz is the one that protects the entire Quran. If you commit the entire Quran to memory, you are called an Hafiz. And it's also the name or one of the attributive names of God.
Right.
Al-Hafiz is one that protects all and sundry.
So, I mean, a lot of people think it's just a name, but apparently someone who has memorized the whole Quran as well. Hafiz.
There's a difference between Hafiz and Hafiz.
Right.
Hafiz goes with the name or this attributive name of God.
Right.
And they call such Abdul Hafiz.
Right.
But somebody that commits the Quran to memory is called
Hafiz.
Hafiz.
Amazing, because you just think about the quantum of work, attention to detail that you have to imbibe to learn the Quran. But let's talk about the season. I just wanted to put that out there for people who do not know. But I'll start with you, Imam. So there's a reason for the season, generally. But there's also the context of that reason in the current season that we're in as a nation and as a world. And the essence of this conversation is to connect that and ensure that there is no disconnect. So don't just think this is just another day, go to the market, visit people, eat, drink, and life continues. So if you were to link Eid-El-Kabir today, as it is today, with the current reality that we have in Nigeria and our world, what would be that link for you, Imam?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulil Kareem, Muhammad bin Abdullah wa ala alihi wa sahabihi wa sallim tasliman. We thank the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity of being here this morning. At the same time, we greet all our Muslim brothers and sisters, Eid-El-Kabir, and all our viewers at home. As just said, we are talking of Eid al-Adha. It is a celebration, a festival for the Muslims in which we celebrate a total devotion of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam and sacrifice that he made. As we've known, Prophet Ibrahim, as one of the greatest prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, was committed to the fact that he believed absolutely in God. And at the same time, he was tested by his creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he was directed through a dream that he should slaughter his son as a sacrifice for God, his maker. And he intended doing that with total commitment. In the course of this, the child was replaced with a ram, and they went home back happily. And we want to compare that with this current situation in our contemporary life. We say that there's need for us to have absolute belief in God in whatever things that we do. And at the same time, we must have the mind of sacrifice. If you cannot have that, you're not able to attain success. You must be able to put in your effort in everything that you do. And at the same time, be thinking of the reward from your creator. That is the only thing you can do to make sure that you do things right.
Right. I think it's important that you lay that background, just so we don't take it for granted that people know these things. But I noticed you said Eid al-Adha, and it's also called Eid Kabir.
Kabir, yes.
So, why is there a difference? What is the difference? Is it significant at all? Before we come to Hafiz.
Yes, it's basically you have two Eids, two festivals in Islam, Eid-el-Fitr and Eid-el-Adha. Eid-el-Fitr is what we'll celebrate after the 30 days fasting. 29 or 30 days fasting, which we celebrate that. It's majorly one of our festivals. And the second one is Eid-el-Adha, the period, the Eid of sacrifice. But it's being called Eid-El-Kabir to show us that it is the bigger one. We have, Kabir means something that is very big. That is celebration of something that is very big in our life because of its importance in our life as believers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Majorly we have two festivals, Eid-El-Kabir and Eid-El-Adha. Eid-El-Fitr and Eid-El-Adha.
And I believe that is just to enrich our vocabulary, because apart from Eid-El-Kabir, Eid-El-Adha, we also know that the greeting is Baraka de Salah during the season, right? And that translates to, please help us out, because some of us just do the greeting.
Baraka de Salah is an Hausa language.
Okay.
Baraka de Salah, greeting you for this festival. That's all.
Okay, it's Hausa language. It's not a generality of greeting for Muslims across board.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that education. Still within the context of the reason for this season during these times for Nigerians, I wonder what it is like for Muslims. And this is important because we know that even though the religion does not make the slaughtering of rams compulsory, it is the peak of the celebration for most Muslims. And with the high cost of commodities, coupled with the very, very high cost of rams, what is it like for Muslims this season? We hear that rams are going for as high as the very good ones, 1 million naira, and some, the cap on it is between 250,000 to 300,000 naira. So what is it like for Muslims at this time?
Well,
Hafiz, you can take that, sir.
Well, anything that is enjoined in Islamic religion is not compulsory. There's no compulsion in it. You see, one thing we need to recognize is that trial, test, and examination is an integral part of progress. So this season we are economically in troubles, and as Nigeria is moving now, we may be buying RAM 1.5 million. But is that buying high cost RAM that is demanded of us? No. It can be used to better many people. So the essence of Islamic sacrifice actually is for you to sacrifice yourself, your passion, your sentiment for the progress of others. Buying RAM of 300 while you have the opportunity of buying a cow of 450, which will serve more people, I think that is more encouraging.
So it must be meat, so that we'll put it in context. The sacrifice has to be meat. Right?
There are stipulated type of meat or animal you can sacrifice on Eid-ul-Adha, like goat, like ram, like camel, like cow.
Okay. The essence is the provision that was made in the alternative of the son of the prophet.
Yeah.
So can it be chicken as well? I just want to put it
Not
out.
chicken. That's why I say stipulated animals.
So you said cow,
ram, goat, camel.
And there are some that are not recommended.
Yeah.
Like chicken, turkey,
no,
fish.
No.
And pig is an abomination.
Well, pig or pork is not accepted in Islam because it has greater effect on the health of the consumer.
So what happens to people who can't afford any of the stipulated?
Like I said earlier, any injunction in Islam, there is no compulsion in it. If you don't have the means, the wherewithal, Islam does not compel you. It's when you have it, you go for it.
So let's trickle down to. I know that the chief imam of Lagos, at the mosque where the president prayed at the Eid ground, did mention a few things to the leaders, which is the issue of sacrifice, leadership by example. And so this creates an opportunity for all of us coming to you now, for all of us to speak to that particular issue. How much of this season, how much of the clerics, how much should we expect of the clerics to begin to speak to the leadership of our country specifically, given the situation we found ourselves? Because there's a lot of blame on them in the management of our resources. And people believe that the clerics have a lot of influence over every one of us. So do we see as much as we should when it comes to clerics, you know, speaking to power, maybe from the Islamic community?
Yes, the point is that as clerics, as Muslims leaders, you should be able to be truthful and at the same time to be bold to tell the leaders the right thing and the truth at any point in time. Our leaders are trying their best, but I think they need to do more when it comes to admonishing our leaders and telling them the facts. Because the imams are very close to the masses. We have so many followers that has been affected with this economic hardship. As a result of this, they're in the best position to relate this to our leaders, to tell them what is going on, and at the same time, let them know the implications of doing things right, and at the same time, their failure to do it, the consequences that will come up from that. Therefore, it is incumbent on every Muslim, especially our leaders, to be truthful and to be bold, not to abuse the leaders. Their responsibility is to pray for them, admonish them, and guide them, irrespective of the situation. That is the duty of imams. Kudos to our chief imam in Lagos, and I think all the other imams need to eliminate this as well.
So how do you find a balance? I know, Hafiz, you want to speak on that now.
You see, it's not only that we need to admonish the leaders. We ourselves as a cleric, we must be upright. We must live by what the book says before we can come out to tell anybody, this is what you need to do. And that's why the prophets, they say, look at my examples. Like the Muslims, the Quran says that the Holy Prophet ﷺ is example for us. In Quran chapter 33, in the book of John chapter 13 in the Bible, it says Jesus is the example. So when we look at the lives of these people, the way they guide the masses, they help and create a community, that's what we need to do in this age.
So I was going to ask about finding a balance, and you've talked about the role of the religious leaders, who, by the way, play a huge role. We focus on politicians, but if you know the quantum of congregation that religious leaders oversee, then you realize that, wait a minute, these are actually big leaders. We don't elect them, but they are major leaders on their own. In fact, they can decide what happens in the polity just by what they say on the pulpit. So find a balance, really, between respecting our leaders, contributing your quota to nation building, holding them accountable, and telling truth to power. So how do you find that balance? Because some have said religion is the opium of the masses, and you know what opium does. Even when things are tough, when you take it, it just gets you high, and you feel everything is fine, and you never really face the reality of things. So how do you find that balance, ensuring that the congregants are also people who speak truth to power, people who hold government accountable, people who are, you know, who have zero tolerance for corruption? How do you find that balance and also ensure that, yes, they are respectful and they contribute their quota to nation building? I'll start from you, Imam, and then come to you first.
The Prophet says, "Kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyatihi." You are all leaders, and you will give accounts of your deeds as a leader. Therefore, as a regional leader, we must be up and doing to make sure that we discharge our responsibility as expected of us. We have a lot of responsibility as leaders to our congregations, to the leaders, to the political leaders even to everybody as well. As the Imam has said, we must have as great examples to our followers to make sure that what we preach is what we do. Not for us to just be saying what you cannot do, or for us just to be saying another thing and at the same time doing otherwise.
So do you encourage, and this is the crux of the question, do you encourage congregants and even the religious leaders themselves to tell leaders what you're doing is not right? For example, this local government, because everybody stays in the local government, and there's a road, in fact, that goes past right in front of either a mosque or what have you, that is bad. I mean, we have cholera outbreak, for example, and as a result of lack of potable water, which government is also meant to provide. So is that something you encourage as well? I know that there's that balance. You don't want to rock the boat, you don't want to cause what they call a conflict or breakdown of law, but you have to also speak truth about it.
The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in one of his statements, said, to speak the truth in the presence of a tyrannic leader is jihad. You know, the misconception of jihad that is upheld about Islam, Islamic jihad. But he taught the followers that if you are talking about jihad, you should be upright and you should be able to speak out when things are going wrong. That's why I said for anybody to say anything or try to correct the politicians, you must have corrected yourself first. And for you to do that, you need to refine yourself, follow the books and its injunctions and its laws, and then they will see it in you when you are saying it. It's not something that is hidden. It's not something that is hidden.
Do you find that to be part of the problem? Pardon me to belabor the point. And I ask this because, you know, it's an important question as far as the role of Islamic clerics, you know, is concerned, because of their proximity to leaders at the highest level. You know, we find Islamic clerics present at ceremonies where they're praying, leading prayers, not just during festive seasons, but also, you know, during personal times of celebrations for politically exposed persons. But still we have these issues of leadership deficit being, you know, the bane of development. You know, for instance, you know, there's this challenge of local government autonomy for which the federal government has taken up the fight. So when you this is the second time that you're seeing it, you know, that even clerics themselves have to be upright. So when we have this gulf between clerics speaking truth to power and we're not seeing the results in the conduct of leaders, our elected leaders, do you find that to be part of the problem? Because the leaders do not see the examples in the clerics themselves.
Probably. Because,
and I'd like you to speak to that as well.
Because, you see, most of the clerics, they shy away from truth maybe when they are closely in deep relationship with those politicians and they are not able to tell what the dictator says. There are few that will stand by their point and say, this is the truth and this is what you need to do. Now, you can't compel, the position we have is just an admonition position. We cannot compel, but we can advise, exhort, and that's all. But those that are doing it rightly, they see the results. That's it.
Yes. When, for instance, when the prophets of God, that is Prophet Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, Moses, when he was directed to Pharaoh as a messenger of God, when he got to him, the Almighty Allah instructed him that he should give a beautiful admonition to, despite the fact that Pharaoh was very, very tough, very wicked. But you must make sure that you give admonition to him. It is our duty as religious leader to ensure that we speak truth everywhere that we find ourselves. It is incumbent on every Muslim leader. But on the other hand, we have some leaders, due to the fact that the situation of country has affected them, and they will not be able to tell the leaders the truth. But what they expect from them is this issue of a settlement, which does not represent the qualities of good Muslim leaders. Must always be up and doing, not for us to only focus on what we get from them. That is the bone of contention.
So the reason why we're dwelling on the clerics is because of your level of influence, and also you're part of the estate of the realm, as far as those estate of the realms are concerned. I want us to speak to the issue of extremism and excesses. We find it in different faiths. How does the Muslim faith manage excesses within itself in terms of housekeeping? We've seen clerics incite, and even the government frown at those particular statements. We've even seen people say they believe in the faith and are going about killing people, which is anti the faith at the end of the day. So how do you manage these two extremes, from the end of the clerics who may be in excess, who may be partaking in some of these excesses, and the people who go about committing crime in the name of the faith?
The basic thing that we need to do is to orientate, educate the masses, our followership. When we educate them properly, if we do not misguide them, misorientate them, because it's misorientation that leads to this killing in the name of religion, or saying that Islam says, no. We need to encourage and give our followers the guidance in accordance with the Quranic dictates and the teachings of the noblest of man, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When we go outside that, then we'll be having self-intended intention and aspirations for positions or any other things. So it is imperative that we continue to guide people appropriately. But this killing that we are seeing, it came up from, is a backlog of mismanagement, backlog of not taking care of the society properly and managing it accordingly.
So let me come to you in answering that question, because if you look at the holy books, you can look at it to do anything you want, depends on your bias. You can interpret it how you want to. So where do you think in the Quran some of these guys are relying on to do some of these things, and what is the correction? What is the real essence of those parts?
Yes, if you are talking of this, I think the major cause of our problem are three things. The first one is ignorance. Second one is poverty. While the third one is followership, dogmatic followership. If you're talking of ignorance, we have a lot of clergymen, that many people that proclaim themselves as clergymen but do not possess the right quality, the right education of being a leader. There is no any constitution that guide the choosing of leaders, especially religious leaders among in every faith. You can just become an imam if you have the opportunity of building a mosque in your community or in your house. You can assume that responsibility of
which
an
is
imam.
not the dictator,
Which is
by the
Prophet Sallallahu. You may have a building.
Anyone that wants to call anybody to any correction, he must have corrected himself.
Yes, therefore, most of these our leaders, many people do not possess that quality, that knowledge of being a leader. Then secondly, this issue of poverty, most of those people that commit this crime are the people that are consumed with poverty. They don't have the means to, if you have a good means of livelihood, you will not engage in atrocities. And thirdly, the dogmatic followership. Some people do just follow people without knowledge, without reasoning. And those are the three things that affect the situation of many people in this country. If you're talking of being aggressive or being extreme, Islam does not encourage that. Right. Islam preaches against it. There are so many verses of the Quran that speaks about of being moderate. La ikraha fi din, you should not be aggressive. You should not. There's no compulsion in our religion. You cannot force anybody into the fold of Islam, but you can encourage people to accept Islam through your character, through your beautiful admonitions.
Amen. But I think really important points you have raised there, and this is why we're doing this, to ensure all of the four states of the realm. So we are the media, you are the clergy, as they say. There's the noble and the commoners, in quote. Everybody can come together and contribute their quota. And today gives us that opportunity. I would like to thank you so much. I love the fact that you went to the heart of the issues. Imam Abdul Ghani Jimo, Branch Missioner Nasfat Alakuko Alagbado Branch, Lagos State. Thank you so much for your time. And Hafiz, I'd like to thank you as well. Hafiz Abdul Ghani Shobambi is an Islamic scholar, lecturer, Ahmadiyya School for Quranic Memorization, Ilaro. He has memorized the whole Quran.
Yeah.
And that's what Hafiz implies. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you
and
very much.
once again, happy Eid-El-Kabir.
Eid-El-Kabir to you.
We'll talk about the festivities after the show. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Well, we'll take a moment now, and when we return, a major part of the festivities is, of course, food. Tomato is a big one, rice, meat, and the rest. But why is the cost of tomato literally unreachable right now? It is a new gold, but we'll be joined by people who are in the know to find out what's wrong and what solutions we need to prefer. Stay with us.